Hello and welcome to episode 217 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. Join me as always is the spontaneous League Freak. You can find on Twitter at League Freak. How you going there, mate?
I'm going very good, Andrew. And you know why I'm spontaneous?
Why are you spontaneous? Please enlighten me.
Because I do things really unexpected, like tell you about manscaped.com.
That is unexpected.
Manscaped.com. Yeah, exactly. No one expected that.
Nah.
Manscaped.com is your number one stop for all of your manscaping supplies, all of your equipment, everything to keep, let's face it, your junk looking its best. So go to manscaped.com, put in our exclusive code NRL, and you'll get 20% off and free shipping. And look, the Lawnmower 3.0, it's a revelation. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's talking about, like, the finish you get with it. It's quite incredible. So go there, check that out. The perfect package is a great present if you're looking for something for Father's Day. If you know, special man in your life is sporting a bush, you need him to get rid of it, go to manscaped.com, NRL, 20% off, free shipping. Do it now.
Sounds great. Beautifully done.
Thank you.
So literally about 2 minutes ago, we started up this Skype call. And you said, what are we going to talk about? So I said, I don't know, I'm just keen you in. Okay, just press record. So here we are.
Yeah, like 3 minutes ago, I was playing Destiny 2.
And I just happened to ruin everything.
I was having fun, man. And then you're like, oh, do you want to do a podcast? And I'm like, oh, I guess I better.
Let's do work.
Oh, got to go to work.
Put on the big boy pants.
Exactly.
Here we are.
Let's adult.
Let's adult. So here it is. Let's get the monkey out of the room, out of the way. Okay. There's been a gloriously absurd rumour about Anthony Seibold going around. We're not going to repeat what it is. Something about him and UFOs. I don't know.
Seriously, that's the only thing they didn't say.
Pretty much.
So dumb.
It's got so many layers that it's become absurd. Just how many layers there are to it. So anyway, Anthony Seibold's decided that he's not going to take this shit, so he's brought out his lawyers.
Yeah, and I only saw it posted. I saw somebody had retweeted it, and I sort of stumbled into it looking at someone's replies, and I was like, oh, that's it, because I haven't seen any of my followers post it, which is nice to know. And yeah, it was really shitty, all the stuff that was said about him in it, and if they can track down whoever posted that, man, they're fucked.
Oh, yeah. Apparently it came from a WhatsApp group, so...
Oh, really?
See how they go with that, but, yeah. It's just not good. But anyway, aside from that horseshit, apparently about 10 Broncos players were at risk of being stood down because they may have breached some more Project Apollo COVID bubble protocol thingamies because they went to the pub.
And the Broncos have cleared the players because what happened was the restrictions in Queensland, or the restrictions for Queensland teams apparently ended basically immediately after that Sharks game. And so everyone knew that the Broncos were able to do what they did and go and have a drink at the pub. And so it was really weird, though, seeing the way the news cycle started up, because it was like, oh, there's a rumor about the Broncos. Oh, there's a bunch of them have been outside the bubble. And it just really, it was like every single step of what should have been one story was supposed breaking news, and the breaking news was there was no news. The Broncos were allowed to go and have a drink, and they did nothing wrong, and everything's fine.
You'd think the media would have learned after they did all of this shit last off-season over Latrell Mitchell.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean,
it's the same garbage, like a bunch of mixed-up rumours and half-assed truths and no news whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. And then you had, and we don't watch it anymore, but Paul Crawley was on NRL 360 lamenting the fact that there are so many snitches in the game. And it's like, dude, that's your entire fucking living.
And he doubled down and wrote an article about it too today.
Yeah, no one read the article, of course, but
it's funny because it was, 12, 18 months ago, something like that. He was bitching and moaning because a whole heap of fans had been constantly complaining to the Daily Telegraph about how all they did was focused on the negative stories and didn't do enough positive stories.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wrote a positive story, but the first paragraph and a half of that positive story was him bitching and moaning about how negative the media was.
It's just
so now all of a sudden,
yeah,
he's opposed to the media being negative all the time and snitching on essentially doing his job.
Yeah, I agree with Paul Crawley. I mean, we need not so many snitches within the game because, there are certain organisations that are peripheral to the game that like to get cameras and focus across from team end of season team bonding sessions and functions and stuff. And I mean, who would want to be part of a shit organisation like that?
Or engaging in that sort of behaviour.
Yeah, that would be really gross.
Yeah. So yeah, there are snitches in the game. Most of them get paid.
Yep. And they're called journalists.
By the same person.
Yeah.
Or same two people anyway. So yeah, that was laughable garbage.
Can I also just say randomly and for no reason at all, if you've got a problem with alcohol, go and see your doctor. They can probably help you and get you into some programs.
Yes. There'll be all sorts of good programs. Yeah, there's plenty of options available.
Exactly. Just unrelated.
Yes. What else was it? Apparently there was some argument between Paul Kent and James Hooper.
Mm-hmm.
This is just Fox Sports creating their own news.
As opposed to what?
Exactly. And this is on NRL 360, apparently. I saw it in a headline early today. I thought I'd better raise this topic without notice or without further reading.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently they were complaining about what Ivan Cleary said, and he was suggesting that the referees were managing Canberra back into the game or some such thing.
Yeah. Look, when I heard what Ivan Cleary said, I mean, it was just, he wasn't happy with their second half, obviously. And when I heard it, I thought, he's probably going to cop a fine. And he copped a fine. And I didn't see one Panthers fan on Twitter defending what he said. Obviously, there were some idiots on Facebook that one of them wanted to start a GoFundMe page for, Ivan Cleary. It's like, dude, do you know how much money this fucking gets paid?
Yeah, but trust me, 20 grand, he's fine.
Exactly.
Like he's probably getting that much in board each week from his son.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was funny though, but yeah, it just seemed like I feel like he knew what he was saying. He knew he was going to cop a fine. Everyone knew it was going to happen. And it was weird hearing Peter V'landys say that that's the most terrible thing he's heard said about the referees, because Peter V'landys actually at the beginning of the year said they're pedantic and sacked one of them off the field, got rid of all of the touch judges, and said that they were all being greedy. So,
Oh, yeah, God. Man, this episode's just about hypocrisy, really, isn't it?
It kind of is, yeah. Have we said anything that's hypocritical?
Never.
Nah.
We stick to our guns.
Exactly.
And even if you find evidence of being hypocrites, we were just joking.
It's a character that we play.
Yeah, I think that covers it, doesn't it?
Performance art.
That's it. Yeah. We're entertainers now.
Yeah, exactly.
Experts and entertainers.
And influencers too.
And influencers. Absolutely. So yeah, apparently those three old, because Buzz was involved in there, and apparently those three old dicks were all having a bitch and moan.
Can you imagine sitting anywhere talking to those people? Like, first of all, I feel like the room smells like stale beer and just
an old pub,
like an old nursing home where everyone's pissed themselves.
I just knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, it's just what I feel like it must, and then you've got concern for one of them. You're like, is this normal? You're sort of like, do I need to speak to someone about
Well,
you know?
You've obviously cut him off already.
Yeah.
I think one of them, Ben Ikin, would be the barman.
He'd definitely be the barman. And, like...
He's dishing up the drinks.
The boring as fuck barman, let's
say.
Like,
he's, the only personality he has is coming through the glasses he wears.
Yeah, you know, when like the sort of barman where you sit down and you're like, just a quiet drink. And the barman goes, "Hey, buddy, what you been up to today?
How you going, mate?
Why the long face?
Yeah.
Would you like me to tell you a joke?
Pretty hot out there today, isn't it? It's fucking 40 degrees here. No shit, dickhead.
Seems like it happens every year about this time, actually.
Yeah. How's that global warming? Mate, don't get me started. Just give me a fucking beer and shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then there's that talk of Ben Ikin being... it's growing rumours that he's going to become the next Broncos CEO.
Well, look, I put out a tweet and asked, what qualifications does he have apart from having kicked a footy and arguing with Paul Kent every week? And a lot of people told me about boards he'd been on and companies he'd been involved in and stuff like that. I just feel as though you want somebody that's been a CEO, considering that he's going to be the CEO of a company that is listed on the stock exchange and that has a turnover of $20+ million a year.
Yeah, you kind of want someone that's got some track record.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I would. If it was my company, I would want the CEO to have a track record that I could look at that was of running a company.
Yeah, that would be vital, I'd imagine.
But apparently not. Apparently I'm scumbag for even saying it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, this is the thing. I mean, what would you know about, any sort of business operations?
Just what I've seen on Law and Order. And that's how
Hang on, holy shit, that makes you far more advanced than Ben Ikin.
Yeah. And Law and Order SVU, by the way, which is the best one, if you ask me.
Well, this is right. So, given your experience now,
yes,
when you get the job, you personally as Broncos CEO, what's the first thing you're going to do?
Sack Seabold.
Okay, what's the second thing you're going to do?
Sack Darius Boyd.
Third thing you'll do?
I'm going to sack Ben Teo.
This is going well.
Yeah.
Keep going. What's next?
I'm going to bring Milford in and say, where do you actually like playing football? And just see what he says. I'm just interested, What else would I say? I'd bring in Payne Haas and I'd say, Payne, what do you reckon about Pangai Jr. and David Fafita deciding to check out? And I'd want to know, does he like it? Does he think they're dickheads? I want to know what the players are thinking, basically. And then I would sign...
Well, the players that matter anyway.
Yeah, and it's basically him.
Yeah.
And then I would look to sign a coach with track record.
Jason Taylor?
That would be Jeff Tuvey.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and wouldn't be Justin Holbrook. And yeah, I'd say to Jeff Tuvey, you're a first grade coach. I've hired you because I think you can do the job. Do the job.
Yes. And how many of the current West Tigers players would you be looking to sign? Help a brother out here.
Well, I understand that Mbye is available if a club wants to take him on.
Half price.
Fortunately, I'm not a drug addict. So I won't be taking him on board. I would...
Mate, he's half price.
The price is too high still.
Tigers do an online sale at the moment.
I'm looking for players for my first grade team. Damn it. Okay? So... there is one Tigers player that I do rate, and that's Harry Grant. I'd try and get Harry Grant.
You got to get him off Melbourne. That's the problem there.
Yeah,
he's not officially a Tiger, that one.
Yeah,
sadly. Yeah. No, you don't need to worry about him. Apparently, the Titans are looking at him.
No.
Yeah. The rumor going around is that the Titans are looking at Moses Mbye.
Can I ask you a question? Because I talked about this with Nadine earlier. Do you think it's a really good idea to give Justin Holbrook a contract extension after 13 games and he's under contract?
No. I wouldn't be giving any coach a contract extension until they've got 1 year left and they've done enough in their time there thus far to earn that extension.
Now, playing devil's advocate here, what about all the other clubs that want him?
Who are?
I don't know. This is the arguments I was getting from people on Twitter when I said it was a dumb idea.
Okay. If NRL clubs wanted Justin Holbrook, then they could have tabled him an offer because coaches, just like players, can break contracts if they want to, if a better offer comes up. See Ivan Cleary, Anthony Seibold, Wayne Bennett. Fuck, heaps of them.
Yeah.
There's Hasler.
Yeah. But so you don't think that the Cowboys, after 13 games and seeing that Justin Holbrook has taken the Titans up to 13th place on the ladder, the Cowboys aren't looking at him and saying, we need to headhunt this guy?
No.
Okay. Even despite all of his massive success in Super League.
Because I don't think the Titans are looking for that much experience. I think they're looking at Todd Payton.
The Titans, you mean the Cowboys?
Sorry, the Cowboys, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think Todd Payton's going to be their coach.
And that means that Holbrook is far too experienced.
Yeah, exactly.
For what the Cowboys want.
Can you imagine 13 games and you're like, well, I'm convinced. Let's give him a contract.
Well, hang on. Remember, he did coach in England.
Yeah, and do you know he turned St. Helens around? Remember how bad St. Helens used to be?
Yeah, they used to always be runners-up in the grand final and the Challenge Cup.
Yeah.
And then he took them to actually win it occasionally.
Yeah, and I mean, who's ever done that before?
Roy Simmons did it.
Yeah.
Almost. Oh, did he win it? No, he won the Challenge Cup with them, didn't he?
I'm trying to think. Man, that's a long time ago now.
Royce is a fucking legend of a coach. Why doesn't he come back and be a head coach?
I reckon. You know what? I feel like he's enjoying life too much, eh?
He's probably still drinking.
Yeah. Still getting around, having a beer with everyone from 91.
Royce-tastic.
Remember when he used to be on Twitter? That was hilarious.
That was the best parody account that was on Twitter at the time.
What do you mean parody account? That was him.
There's a parody account. I got inside mail. I know who it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who was it?
Me.
It was you?
Yeah. Yeah. No one would believe it, but there you go. It was funny. A lot of people.
Yeah, Andrew. Of course, it was you.
A lot of people for a long time thought it was Bryce Gibbs or Liam Fulton.
Yeah.
And those two never ever said that it wasn't them.
Yes.
Because they loved it.
Yep.
But so they just let everyone think it was them, even though obviously they knew it wasn't one of the players. And the great thing was, I used to do the tweets when I was on my way to work early in the mornings down here on the train.
Yeah.
And it'd be like 5 a.m. or something like that. So it kind of works in with when St. Helens were playing or just after they'd finished a game over there.
So this is you revealing it?
This is me revealing it, yeah.
Okay,
Had just on 10,000 followers when it got shut down. And the last tweet was about how he was sitting on the toilet and he'd run out of toilet paper. But thankfully, he had a copy of Benny Elias's book sitting next to him. That was the last tweet.
Now, I know it was you as well. I think there's how many people in the world know that you were the Roy Simmons account?
About 4.
Okay. It's fantastic. No one ever suspected it.
No.
I know when you told me, I was like, what?
It was amazing. I had such a huge following of that account in St. Helens because I started up just when he was an assistant coach at West Tigers about 3 months before he got the gig over at Saints. There was an article in the newspaper in St. Helens talking about the Twitter account. I actually went to Royce and asked him about it. Is this actually you? Like they couldn't tell. They went, I am not doing that good of a job. But all I talked about was Pat Benatar, Mars bars, eating shitloads of meat, and his Pintara and watching the 91 grand final on a loop. That was pretty much the entire tweet circus. Yeah. Oh, witches' hats. Always putting out witches' hats.
What's the witches' hats thing about?
Oh, something he did at the West Tigers. Everyone used to joke about him putting witches' hats out at West Tigers.
Oh, okay.
His mentor was Tim Sheens, talking game plans with Tim. They'd often do it with sauce bottles at the local cafe. Went to Sizzler a lot.
Oh shit!
You used to like having shandies.
Oh really?
Yeah, that was.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Chunky Kit Kats.
I remember that one as well.
And I got people. There were actually people who went to games with signs and had on there like Royce Tastic on there. That was one of his hashtags.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was Lomaskell, I think it was, for the halves pairing. It was Lomax and Gaskell. Was that it?
I think so, yeah.
So I made hashtag Lomaskell and talked about how great a plan it was. And people were using that as a hashtag and putting it on signs at the games. Man, it was fucking fantastic. I couldn't believe how brilliant it was.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And we've discussed this. We think what happened was he joined the Panthers in a backroom capacity, and we think that the Panthers social media staff got in touch with the NRL and said, okay, this account is not official. Can you get in touch with Twitter? And Twitter shut it down.
Possibly that, yeah. That's what I assume. I know a lot of journalists over in the UK asked Royce about it and showed some of the tweets on there to him.
Mm-hmm.
And every single one of them apparently said that he found it funny and he had no issue with it whatsoever. Because I never went on there. Like, I'd be mocking a persona of him, but I never ever said anything bad about anyone.
Yeah, yeah.
I never mentioned anything bad about his family.
Yeah, and
I kept it pretty tame, really.
Yeah, it was all good-natured stuff.
Yeah, he never swore.
Yeah, yeah.
He was always on his best behaviour.
I wonder if we could talk to Roy Simmons and like just talk to him and say, "This is the dude that was running your account." See what he says.
He'd probably hang up on us and tell me to fuck off or something like that. But no, some of the players love it. Robbie Farah loved it. Bryce Gibbs. They used to always ask him questions on there all the time.
Yeah.
The Mole.
Yeah.
He was a big fan of it.
Yeah.
A few of the journos in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people used to regularly contact me and asking if it was the real Roy Simmons or not. I'd always tell them, yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy because like I knew the account, and when you told me, I was like, what? But getting to know you more since, it's like, oh yeah. Makes so much sense. And then we were laughing because I get asked, I used to get asked all the time, like, oh, what other accounts do you have? And it's like, I seriously just have the one account. I'm too fucking lazy for more than them. And we'd laugh because we'd say, like, no one would ever guess that you had this account.
No, that's right. That's what made it so good. And I never let on. At all to anyone, and the people who are always being, it was always Gibbsy and Liam Fulton.
Mm-hmm.
They never ever said it wasn't them.
Mm-hmm.
They never said it was. They just never said it wasn't them.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made people think it was them the whole time. And because it wasn't, that just made them love it even more.
It's brilliant. It was brilliant. It's sad that the account went away because it was really, really good.
It was. But the reason I was told it was shut down was because it needed to be clearly labelled that it was a parody account.
Yeah.
And I tried to argue that it wasn't a parody. My real name was Roy Simmons.
Yeah, fucking. I was going to say, like, why didn't they just say it's a parody account? But you're fucking arguing that you're Roy Simmons.
Yeah, I doubled down.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It had just on 10,000 followers, which was up there with some of the most popular rugby league players at the time.
Yeah, like at the time, 10,000 was... There wouldn't have been too many people in rugby league that had more than 10,000.
I think, for example, Robbie Farah at the time had 11,000.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're talking quite a few years back, so I think Robbie would have been playing Origin then, and might have been around the time the Tigers were in the finals and stuff. So they weren't doing too bad.
It's so brilliant.
But there you go.
Yeah. Wow, a revelation.
A revelation. That's filled in 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I can't believe you actually revealed that. Actually, I thought you were just gonna just go along with me taking the piss. Oh yeah, it's you. Yeah.
Nah, why
Well,
not?
no one would think it was you. It just doesn't seem like something you do. But like once you get to know you enough, it's like, oh yeah.
What's the thing? I think too. At the time, my personal account was pretty dull, and I'd only had like 400 followers, something like that. And I was just tweeting stats and a bit of commentary stuff. I wasn't bitching about the media and all the shit I do now.
I followed you from very early days. I've never thought that your account was dull. I always thought it was really interesting.
Oh, it's only been in the last 2 years I started getting people taking notice of it.
Yeah,
So
I think
I was just assumed that it was just like my personality. It was non-existent.
no.
I'll always come back to this.
It's nothing like your non-existent personality. It's it's no. I think that you, unless you've got some sort of like the thing about Rugby League Project, it's the biggest website in the world, but it's not like it. There is a, it's not like you're generating hits towards your Twitter page. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that probably made it more difficult for you to gather momentum with it.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, let's be honest, when it comes to PR, I'm absolutely clueless.
Yeah.
Even with the Rugby League Project, we've got Facebook page and Twitter account, stuff like that, and there's very few updates come up on there. If I had any idea of what I was doing, I'd be doing a bit more on there. Even the Patreon thing, I don't update very much.
Tell you what, you're not doing too bad considering you're not influencing now.
Yeah, I should do something about that.
Yeah, we need to start getting in touch with places and saying, look, we want free shit because we'll take some Instagram pictures of it while we're there.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
We could start with you could do the first one with the first free product that you've got.
The first what?
Yeah, the free product that you received in the mail last week.
Yeah, you know what? I did a video of it. And I realised that I'd recorded it in 1080p and not 4K. And so when you look at it on like my computer screen, it's fine on my phone. When you look at it on the computer screen, the resolution just looks shit. So I'm going to have to do it again in 4K. I can do it 4K on my phone easy, but yeah. So
do you have to put the camera at the other end of the room so that you can fit all of your gear into frame?
Okay. Yes, I do.
What's he laughing for?
Oh shit! Look, any time it comes to my junk, everyone laughs. I don't know what it is. It's really off-putting, but yeah, it's
what's off-putting is when someone calls it cute.
Yeah, adorable.
Adorable. Or they go, oh,
oh, it's so cute.
Out.
Oh man.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, this went south quick.
Yeah, it did. What else has been going on in the world of rugby league?
Well, Tavita Pangai Jr. was sacked by the Broncos because
that is true.
Yeah, they're sick of his shit. He was fined $30,000 and stood down indefinitely. Now, I don't know if that's the NRL has decided to stand him down. Yeah, he stood down by the NRL indefinitely, which I think is a good move because it looked like he was going to just go straight to another club and earn more money. And I think the NRL has sort of said, nah, we know what you tried to do getting out of there, and we're not going to have you just walking into someone else's team. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. And apparently Trent Robinson said that they wouldn't have him at the Roosters. So it's going to be interesting to see what club does pick him up. You know what I'm thinking already, don't you?
No, Tigers won't take him.
You reckon?
No.
But he's been discarded by another club. That's their go.
Yeah, but we only have one of those players at the club at a time, and we've already got Packer at the club.
Okay.
So we'll ditch him, but then by the time we've done that, Pangai will be at another club, and we'll miss out on that opportunity. We'll have to find some other criminal to lure to the club.
Well, he's not a criminal. Jesus. He went and got a haircut.
Yeah. No, he didn't get a haircut. That was the problem.
Well, that doesn't make him a criminal.
Yeah, he got sacked for not having a haircut.
I know, right?
No, but he's a criminal according to the NRL because he had several biosecurity breaches.
Yeah, what would have been?
As we know, NRL rules and guidelines are law above the law.
Yeah, definitely. And the weird thing is too, like, this is the thing I always don't understand. Until you are proven guilty in the NRL's eyes, you're guilty. Then if you actually get proven guilty, then you're free to play.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, and I just don't understand that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a down payment on a sentence.
Yeah.
So if you're a criminal, okay, let's put it in the real world, okay?
Okay.
You murder someone.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
If you choose to go to jail straight away, you start serving your sentence straight away.
Mm-hmm.
Then all you can do is just make the case go for like 20 years so that when they finally hand down the sentence, you'll be sentenced to 20 years ago. Well, I've already done 20 years. And well, you're free to go.
Exactly.
If people think that's a bit weird of me saying that, I suggest you look into the punishment that was handed down to the Cronulla Sharks after the SARDA investigation.
Yeah.
Didn't they get 2 years or backdated by 1 year and 9 months?
They got... I love the way they got suspended over the off-season.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
I'm pretty sure it was a 2-year suspension, but it was backdated 1 year, 9 months, so they only had to spend 3 months out. Mm-hmm. And 1 month of that was football games, and the other 2 months was off-season.
You know what else is ironic is that his career has been put on hold. He's been stood down indefinitely by the NRL for not getting a haircut, when Jai Arrow clearly should get the same punishment for having that haircut.
Fully agree. God damn, that haircut is filthy.
Yeah, like it's a statement, and I think it's as much of a statement as not wearing a mask.
It's a statement that says, I live on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, it really does.
And if I was not playing football and earning a lot of money here, you can be rest assured I'd have been on the TV and in newspapers by now, after having done a bit of a smash and grab at a 24/7 somewhere.
Jesus. It is truly an act of terror, I believe.
It's a horrible thing.
It's
a horrible thing, and there's too much of it going on in the game at the moment.
Yeah, like at the risk of sounding like Fox Sports, I mean, some of the haircuts coming out of lockdown have been terrible. I know that I let my hair grow out of lockdown. I shaved it for the first time about a week ago, so I look like a human being again.
Yeah, I let mine go for a while, and it's my hair when it gets long just looks atrocious.
Yeah.
So when I got a chance to go and get my hair cut, yeah, just bang, shave it all off, and I don't have to worry about it for several months. I never once thought to myself, I should just shave the sides.
Yeah. Like,
it's shaving the sides. You know what the haircut reminds me of? That stupid one was one of the baseball players in that Simpsons episode.
It does me exactly as well. What was his name?
Was it Dan or something?
God, that's going to annoy me. Let's see if we can find... I was trying to find it. Simpsons baseball player.
Yeah. Shave those sideburns.
And he says shave that, and he shaves the sideburns. He's like, he doesn't even know what he thinks sideburns are. Don Mattingly. That's it.
Oh, that's those haircuts at the moment. Chad Townsend's got an absolute horror one looking just like that.
Can I make a confession?
Yeah.
Before I shaved my head completely, I basically had the same haircut, but the hair on top was a fucking mess.
And then you went, yeah, this looks stupid. I'm going to finish it off now.
It really did. But the thing was, I knew it looked stupid, and I thought, I can do this because no one's going to see it, and it makes me laugh. And then it just, at some point, it goes from it makes you laugh to it makes you, like, think, oh, man, you look bad. and then at some point you start feeling sad about your appearance, and that's when I shave my head.
And you've only got an audience of you.
Yeah, exactly.
These people in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
And they're fine with it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What's the weirdest haircut you've ever had?
Me?
Yeah.
I've only ever had 2 haircuts.
Oh, really? That sounds so like a country person.
Yeah, no haircut or 3.
Okay. I have 3. I've had many. I've had a sweet mullet when I was younger. I had a flat top, and around the sides I had 3 lines put in it that went down the back of my head into a V.
Actually, there was this weird trend that went on in my high school. I mean, this shows you how sad my high school was.
Mm-hmm.
Of boys trying to see if they could grow the longest fringe.
Oh, really?
And mine just was curly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not big curly, just sort of small, like one loop curl, but that was about it. And it just meant everything just fucking stayed in place.
It's like that kid off the Little Rascals.
Yeah. And I remember trying a mullet when I was in primary school.
Yeah.
And it was basically because I wanted to look like Tim Brasher. And that didn't happen either.
Yeah.
So my that was pretty much my 2 experiments with hairstyles.
Okay. So I got to
very unimpressive.
I was I think 18, and I was sick of just my hair getting in my face, because my hair grows pretty quick, and it can be really long. I used to have hair down my back when I was a kid, and so I got to 18 and I was like, stuff it, I'm shaving it off, and it's the best thing I ever did. And it's funny because, like, you see people, they get to a point where they start getting bald and stuff, and I've had family members that are male pattern baldness, and they're like, oh, you shouldn't do that, shave your hair like that, and I've been like, whatever, grandma, but but no, I guess one day eventually I'll start losing it.
Nah. I don't have any fear of that. There's no baldness in my family on either side, so
yeah,
I'm just going to be cursed with this luscious hair for the rest of my life.
Damn it, you're going to be like a Des Hasler.
Yeah, it's a hard life.
Yeah, someone's got to do it, Andrew.
It has. Man, what a brilliant episode this is so far. I'm loving this.
This is going everywhere. People are going to think that we did acid or something before this episode.
Now, there has been some other news, injury news.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Lodge has been ruled out of action for the rest of the year with a leg injury.
Oh, wow. That's really sad.
I think it got caught in the door.
Yeah.
Don't know how it happened, to be honest. Don't much care.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I wish injury on him. I just don't want to see him playing in the NRL, that's all.
Yep, I agree. Fuck Matt Lodge.
Job done. Shannon Boyd has been forced into retirement due to his injuries, and he's going to go and be a farmer.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Like, he went up there for a lot of money, and it felt like he never actually played for them.
He really didn't play many games at all.
14 games he played for the Titans.
And they were not impressive either.
No,
it was a bit of a disappointing end to his career, because when he was at his peak, because I think he did play for Australia, pretty powerful ball runner. So, bit of a sad way for his career to end, but hell, frees up a bit more space in the Titans salary cap. Maybe they're going to go after Pangai Jr.
I feel like that'd be a bad move for them, hey?
It would be. Maybe they're just saving that money up so they can buy Mbye.
You're trying.
Seriously, it's in the news. They're genuinely looking at Moses Mbye.
Oh man, they should run from Moses. He's like the most Gold Coast Titans player ever.
Yeah. Shh. Don't ruin it. Here we go. What else is there?
Well, there's been a bit of an issue in Super League because a whole bunch of Hull FC players and coaching staff have tested positive to COVID. And
6 players, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what the Rugby Football League's going to do. Because
I gather what's happened is the Hull FC game for this week has been scrapped.
Mm-hmm.
None of the others have been. I don't know who did they play on the weekend.
I think was it Salford?
It might have been. I think they're still waiting to get test results back from their opponents from the weekend.
Yeah, and you got to wonder, because there's obviously a period where, you're not going to test positive even if you've just got it. So I guess they're going to have to test them again. But I think that once you're exposed to someone, you have to go into 14-day lockdown. But they haven't got a bubble situation like we've got in New South Wales anyway for our players. So it's a weird one. And the good thing is that they won't lose a game off of TV because they don't show all the games on TV. I just don't know what Super League's going to do, especially if it spreads around more and they have more teams that have to basically not play.
If they find that players at Salford have got it and they've got to scrap 2 games because of it, it gets a bit hard to justify having the season continuing when you've got essentially 3 teams out of the comp then, because don't forget Toronto's not playing for the rest of this year.
Yeah, and the thing
it's a bit of a mockery of a comp now.
Yeah, and like you and me said, we felt it was early to come back. And, this has happened. And you know that the Rugby Football League wouldn't have had any contingency plans in place because they're absolutely useless, Rugby Football League and Super League.
Well, they still don't have a contingency plan for when clubs fold and can't afford to pay their players' salaries. I mean, they've only had how many chances in the past where this has happened to actually do something, and they still have done nothing about it.
Yeah, and it's crazy that, I think this one has got a lot of media attention in Australia because there's been a lot of Australian players and Kiwi players that have been affected. But this literally happens every couple of years, and we've seen teams over there that they've folded midweek and played the following weekend, but it's a completely new company and it just happens to have the same logo and colours and stuff like that. We've seen clubs that have folded and players don't get paid all the time. It just happens all the time. And the thing is, the Rugby Football League and Super League should be covering the players' salaries like the NRL does, and they don't. And no one from the Rugby Football League has ever missed a paycheck. So I just find it disgusting. And I said to Nadine earlier today, I think the players need to consider strike action because it's the only way anything's going to happen.
Yeah. The thing they don't understand the RFL and Super League is that if they could guarantee every player's wage, they would then attract players from everywhere. One of the reasons why a lot of Australian players are reluctant to go over to England, no matter what part of their career they're in, is because you run this risk of playing and not getting paid unless you go to Wigan, St Helens, Leeds.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to go to those clubs every time.
But I tell you what, you say that, and it does make sense. But once upon a time, people were saying the same thing about the Bradford Bulls.
That's true.
That's true.
But then again, the system failed Bradford because of the stupid relegation system. The minute they had 2 bad seasons and got relegated, they went bust. They got relegated again. They went bust again. It's amazing how just 1 or 2 bad seasons can take a high-flying club and can turn it into a complete financial rabble.
Yeah, and that's it. It's just gone. And how does that good for the game? And I saw when people were saying, well, they're getting rid of relegation for this year in Super League and it might be something that they go ahead with. And I saw English fans, some of them saying, oh, that'll be great. You'll be able to have teams that finish last every year and nothing happens to them. And it's like that. It's so it's frustrating to see it because it feels like over here in Australia, we've got sometimes the dummies get their hand on the wheel and they make stupid decisions. Hello, Peter Valinis. But over there, it's like...
Graham Annesley.
Yeah, Graham Annesley was on. But then over there, it's like only the dummies get to make the decisions. And so every decision they make is just a poor one.
Yes. And I don't think they realise that this whole promotion relegation system does make it hard to lure big money from a TV rights deal.
Mm.
Like one thing that a broadcaster wants is a stable competition.
Yep.
Because then they know where all their markets are and how much they can, I suppose, spend on your product.
Mm-hmm.
But if one or two of your teams is going to change every year, and it's only a 14-team comp, I mean, that's quite a large percentage of your competition. It just keeps chopping and changing every year. And it also means that the same three teams are going to be the ones that are always, battling it out for the title.
And it's devastating commercially because, like, even you look at this year, every club that could go to a sponsor or potential sponsor and then Super League going to sponsors and stuff like that and saying, you know what, this year we've got a team that's based in North America. And now, straight away, they're gone. And it's like, how much money does the game lose from that? How much damage is done to the game's reputation because I signed a sponsorship deal with this club or for the competition in general, expecting to get exposure into North America, and now the most exposure I can expect to get is in the south of France, and then the next southernmost team is what, like fucking Wakefield or something. It's ridiculous, and I can't believe that the majority of people cannot see that.
No, it's because it's all they know.
Yeah.
They never bother to look at how the NRL functions and sees that even without expansion, the NRL's had stability. This is one of the most stable periods the NRL's had in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
The last time we had a team cut from the competition was 2002 when the Northern Eagles dropped out.
Yeah, and that was just really a logo and name change at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's just it's just a husk for Manly to come back into.
Yeah.
And it was.
Like the other thing is too, like you add all of these problems that they've got on top of one another, and now they've got this COVID situation. Man, I really worry about English Rugby League, and I know there's people that say, "Oh, we need an English competition." I'd like there to be a really strong English competition, but we don't need it because we haven't had it for years. And you look at you look at where the teams are now. They've added the Catalan Dragons, and they're the biggest real addition that they've had since the early 80s. Every other time that they've tried to expand, it hasn't worked, and they haven't stuck with it. Can you imagine if Australian Rugby League did the same thing and we had the Illawarra Steelers and they were our expansion club?
Well, this is right. The UK model is just... I don't know why they can't find someone who's a bit more forward-thinking and wants to do something different. Why do they manage to keep getting someone off the fucking photocopier?
But every time they do, they get no support, they get ridiculed by people in the game, and they just eventually they throw their hands up and say, what am I doing here? I can do some other shit, and I get more than just copying shit from people in Northern England. Like, say you ran... Like, you look at everything that's happened at the Toronto Wolfpack. Say what you want about the owner, right? Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is that the Wolfpack were allowed to enter Super League because they received no central funding, and they have to have this weird home and away schedule, and they don't get any support when all of the furlough comes along and players are paid by the government grant, basically. They got no support at all. How do you expect to get anybody to look at buying into expansion in rugby league when every time there's an expansion in Super League, they get zero support?
And more often than not end up dying.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what they want, though. In a weird way, they want expansion to fail so they can say, see, told you this would never work.
Yeah, and it's weird.
Let's just go back to what we know.
This plays into something I talked about earlier today on Twitter, and I knew it was too complicated to get into, and it's probably a podcast all in its own. But there was a tweet I saw by somebody that had put together an article about classism in rugby league. And I said that if you think there's classism, and this is particularly in Australian Rugby League, if you think there's classism in Australian Rugby League, I think you're a tosser, right? Because I don't think there is. And if you look at the sorts of people that normally talk about classism in rugby league, they're a certain sort of personality. They're normally always journalists, and I think that it's either people that are insecure about what they've done, or it's people that think they've done more than they actually have done, and they're a douchebag. And then I had people saying, well, what about in England? The classism in rugby league in England. And I thought to myself, is it classism, or are what people feeling is the rest of the nation looking at rugby league and actually seeing what it is in England, which is a sport that does not like outsiders, and outsiders are anybody that is not in Northern England, and anybody that tries to make it in terms of buying a club, they cop shit. You know, all of the towns are in northern, tiny little towns, you know, and to break into that, it's really difficult because everyone's against you. So is it classism that rugby league suffers from, or is it just a case of normal, regular, everyday people sort of just can't be bothered with the bullshit?
I think, well, let's be honest, okay, the game in Australia was built on classism. That's pretty clear in my view, because you know, it was a battle between the working class who couldn't afford to take time off and the upper class who could play on weekends for free.
Yeah, but like,
and so that class, that's where it was built from. The Labor Party attached itself to that, and they've been trying to keep that going every goddamn year ever since. You are right. The classism in rugby league doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
If anything, it's probably gone completely opposite to where it used to be. The working class still hangs on to it, though, because it's ingrained in their culture. But like, there'd be a lot more upper class people watching rugby league now than ever before. In the UK, though, I don't think it's classism. I think it's ignorance.
Yeah, look, and where's the ignorance then?
They're basically themselves, because look, they know that they've got all of fucking Europe to work with to grow that game, and it would be no effort whatsoever. You know, if they had set it up back in the 1960s or 70s, a team in Belgium, one in Spain, whatever, it would not take much effort for that team to travel to England for a game or vice versa. Yep. How close is it?
Yeah.
I feel like we're going from here to Perth.
Yep.
Piece of piss. They could have had a truly European club competition. Imagine that. And they went, nope, we're sticking with the teams we've got here. And we'll introduce teams every now and then as a token gesture. But we guarantee you it won't work. And to prove it won't work, we'll give you no fucking support whatsoever. And when the shit hits the fan, you die stiff shit. But if one of our northern clubs starts getting a bit of trouble, we'll send them some money. We'll prop them up. We'll buy the fucking ground, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. The amount of money that game is spent on fucking Odsal, but they won't spend a single penny on Toronto. To me, that just shows how stupid they are.
It's absolutely insane. And part of me I think to myself, like, I don't think it's classism. I think it's people, they see rugby league in England for what it is. And it's felt as classism by people. But what it really is people thinking to themselves, man, why? I'm not dealing with this. This is silly. Like, there's all of these hang-ups and all this bullshit, and the same person that will tell me that this is the greatest game in the world, I should watch it, then turns around and says that, I'm just a blow-in and I don't deserve to have my club in Super League for no real reason at all. And I think that it's, look, the wider British sporting public has spoken. They're not embracing rugby league for a reason. And, people can jump up and down about rugby union over in the UK. The fact is rugby union has teams all over the place in the UK. They've got what equates to national competition, and rugby league does not. And it's not because rugby union's a better game. It's because rugby league has decided to sit on its ass for fucking 120 plus years and is just happy to do so. It's not even like there's that golf anymore with the professionalism where that was something to overcome. And then all of this stuff about, we can't even get into the grounds and stuff. That's all bullshit. It's just, I just think there's so many hang-ups and stuff. And unless it changes, rugby league in the UK is stuffed. Because if they're still in this position in 20 years from now, it's going to be at best semi-professional if it doesn't end up that in the next 5 years anyway. And at worst, it's going to be like a fucking training game that rugby union uses.
Well, this is why, we talk about the TV rights so much, and they've got to make the game appealing to TV so that TV wants to show every Super League game at the bare minimum live every week.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you start doing that, that's where the big money comes in.
Yep.
And once you get that big money, you can then pay, like the NRL does, give a big chunk of money to every single club, and that is to be used entirely to pay the players' wages. That's where your salary cap comes from. That means that the club themselves doesn't have to pay a single cent to prop up player salaries. And that should stop a lot of clubs from becoming insolvent. Because they've just got to pay administration stuff. They're not worrying about the biggest expense, which is player salaries.
Yeah.
That would also mean that players are going to be more interested in playing rugby league. There's probably a lot of players in the UK who could probably play either soccer or rugby union or rugby league, and they look at rugby league and go, every year we hear about players not getting paid, I'll just go to rugby union or soccer instead, and I'm a fair chance of getting more money there, or getting at least paid there. It may not happen all the time, but it's going to happen enough to whittle away at the junior level of stock coming through. And it means that the UK comp then has to keep relying on Australian players, New Zealand players, Pacific Island players to come over and keep their game competitive and keep it rolling. It's just a horrible cycle which just goes from one bad thing to another.
Yeah, and it's not changing. And
no.
Anytime somebody tries to come in and do something positive, they basically get ran out of the place.
Yeah, they get yelled out.
Yeah, and it's like, how are you expected to get more games on TV and a national audience when you don't offer that national audience any content that's relevant to them? Like the same people that will say, well, if Castleford is not in Super League, I won't watch rugby league anymore. I'll be lost to the game. But they expect people in London and Birmingham and all these places around the UK to watch Castleford, even though they don't have teams of their own to follow. It's complete madness, and it's what has bogged English Rugby League down for decades now, and it's why it's in this perilous position. Absolutely perilous. Like, it would not take much. We're sitting here talking about how a fucking, basically a flu could spell the end of a professional competition. They'd have to go to at least half their squads being semi-professional because of a fucking flu. That's where they're at.
Yeah.
It's craziness.
It's ridiculous. They need to get a former NRL administrator in there, and I think David Smith would be the best person to get in there. He took so much shit from the Sydney media. I think he could handle the media over there in the UK because it's nowhere near as vicious as it is over here. And
there's not many of them. There's like 24 dudes that write about rugby league in the UK. And I know half of them are fucking morons, but half of them are good people. And those other half that are good people that had good jobs and wrote good articles, a lot of them just got to a point where it's like, man, I can't make a living writing about this shit because it's just not relevant to the rest of the UK. And all of these people come into this sport and say, we got to expand. We've got to look to further horizons. We've got to show people what this game is like. And they all get ran out of the joint.
Yep.
Even the fucking English players don't want to play in England anymore.
No, they're coming over here in droves now.
Yeah.
It's infuriating. Because, as I said, that is... A strong English comp is the key to having a strong game throughout all of Europe.
Yep.
And that's huge. And at the moment, most of Europe is just fending for itself. Some comps are doing pretty damn good considering the limited resources they have. And Super League could probably do well to have a look at some of those people and figure out, maybe we should take some of their ideas.
Well, you look at the Euro 13s comp, and I don't know much about it at all. But at least they've said to themselves, hey, let's try having a team in in different countries, and we're going to start small, but we're going to try and build something big and across Europe. And look, they might not make it happen. I don't know. I honestly don't know a huge amount about it, but at least they're giving it a go, and they're aiming high.
Yeah, kind of reminds me a bit of when France decided to put forward the idea for a World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy big idea. Everyone was opposed to it. They persisted with it until they got it, and now everyone loves the fucking World Cup.
Yep.
Thank you, France.
Thank you, France. I wish that Australian Rugby League did way more for French Rugby League, and I don't know how we could do it, but France needs to disconnect itself from English Rugby League.
I think all Australia needs to do is just say, you know, let's have a talent scout, take one French player and bring him over into our competition. They don't have to play in the NRL. They can play in the New South Wales Cup.
Mm.
But if we brought over one test player from France, and they went to every single lower grade club, some might make it into the NRL sides, who knows? But imagine what that would do for those players and help them skills wise, take them back to France, playing test footy. And then imagine how long it would take before France starts beating England in test matches. And then England starts turning up as Great Britain so they can have a stronger team, and then France starts beating them as well.
Exactly. And look, I remember saying years ago, I think France will beat England before England beats Australia. I still stand by that.
It's very possible. Because at the moment, with the way the competition is going at the moment, because France had fallen a long way back during the 70s and 80s, being involved in the Super League has allowed them to catch up to where England's at. England's, at best, has plateaued for the last 25, 30 years.
Mm. And that's been fine. Remember that graph you made?
Mm.
I mean, that was shocking about the British Rugby. Was it just British Rugby League team? Or
it was England and Great Britain compared to Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was compared to Australia. And it was just horrible how you could see a certain point in times, like 1974, I think it was. The two sort of intertwined, and then Australia just shot off, and Great Britain just plummeted.
Yeah, and it got to when was it that? Because it was a real steady decline for Great Britain, and then it just fell off a cliff. What was that in the early 2000s? I think it was.
Let's see if I can find it. It was somewhere around there.
Did you put that up on Instagram?
No, it is up on Twitter though.
Okay.
Amongst all the other freaking graphs and pictures and shit on there. This could take a while.
Hey, that's why you're the number one rugby league statistical analyst on Twitter.
How was the one I put up yesterday of the comparison between the 2020 Broncos and the 1999 Magpies?
I was when you brought that up, I was shocked. Because and we've talked about that Magpies team so many times on this podcast because they were so terrible.
It's amazing how close those two sides are.
Mm.
And, I mean, we're talking close. At the same point in time, after 13 games, the Western Suburbs team had only considered 9 points more than the current Broncos team. 9.
And it's hard to explain how bad that West team was.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they conceded, 900, almost 1,000 points in a season. No team's ever conceded that many points in a year.
Yeah. I know, and look, I know I've said it 1,000 times before. People see me here and saying it. Statistically, one of the worst teams of all time, that West team. And for the Broncos to be like tracking with them or close to them, it's just unbelievable.
Oh, it's next level bad. I thought it was going to go pretty close. I didn't expect it to be as insanely close as it is.
Mm. And you know, if they're without their coach for at least another week, they won't have Pangai Jr. So at the very least, their depth is way lower than it was. You know, Darius Boyd's in a half, and he left whatever leadership group they actually had. Matt Lodge is off, you know, doing whatever the fuck he's doing. Like, good luck. Don't go to New York. this season could actually just tank to new levels. And I was talking to Nadine earlier, and I was saying everyone's a Bulldogs fan right now because a lot of people want to see the Broncos get the spoon, and it might be the best thing for them because I still feel as though there's a feeling that like, oh yeah, this is a bit of an aberration for the Broncos. This isn't real. Like what we're seeing isn't really the Broncos, and it's like, no, this is their reality, and until they accept it, it doesn't matter what they do because they don't realize how bad they are.
That's right. Yeah. I don't know if they'll fix it. Found the graph. It was 1994.
Okay, yeah.
It plummeted hard from 94 to 2002.
That's right.
And it was a graph I did where it was England, Great Britain versus Australia and New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was always constantly going up. It sort of flattened out a bit in the 60s when Australia and New Zealand were both a lot stronger. But Great Britain was still pretty strong. It kept climbing up until about, mid-70s, 75, 76.
Are we able to put that on the Instagram?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be cool, just because that way people can go to the Instagram account and check out the graph, because it's one of those ones that you look at it and it's undeniable.
Yeah. Oh, there's lots of graphs there. When I get around to it, I'll put them all up there on the Instagram page.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's a ton. I mean, that Anthony Seibold versus Tommy Raudonikis one as well is pretty interesting.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Oh, man,
I didn't see that one. Yeah.
You didn't see it?
No.
This is starting to sound like one of our normal chats.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, show me this one.
So this one was looking at
oh, no.
the careers of the two coaches at the moment. Seibold's career has dipped below Tommy Raudonikis, but we're not at the point yet where Tommy Raudonikis had those last two bad seasons.
Yeah, when it really, I mean, it's nosedived, but...
Yeah, that's about, let's see, that starts at about game 70. So he's only about 3 or 4 games away. But the way he's tracking at the moment, he's following the same line.
Yeah, he's tracking at the same failure rate.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And to see how far away he got from him, and then it's just, he's nosedived underneath where Tommy's career as a coach was. Oh, my goodness. Oh, jeez.
The crazy thing is, Seibold's win percentage is almost 10% higher than Tommy Raudonikis's.
Well, that's the weird thing. Like, going by their defensive record, which is not much better than the West's teams of the late 90s, like, they really, that they're not in last place is kind of a minor miracle. Yeah.
They've been saved purely by the Bulldogs' inability to score points.
Mm.
That's it.
Yep.
The Bulldogs come up against the Tigers this week. Very real chance of winning that game.
Yeah, I actually tipped them. Nadine tipped the Tigers. I just look at both of the teams, and with how bad the Tigers are playing right now, I see some more class in the Bulldogs, which is weird. Foreign, DWZ, if he plays well, and I'm not saying that the Bulldogs are a great team or anything, but they're going to try hard.
I think that's it. I don't see more class in the Bulldogs team. What I see is a lot more effort. The Tigers are putting in the effort, but it's not 80 minutes of persistent effort, and that's the thing that's killing them. And when they concede 1 or 2 quick tries and they don't get one back, they just drop their shit. And it's something I used to see from the Tigers back in 2006 to 2019. That whole period after they won their title, other than 2 brief years they made the finals, used to happen all the time. If they didn't score first or if they didn't keep up, they just dropped their shit and let the game run away.
Mm.
And it's starting to happen again now. That performance against Newcastle on the weekend was utter dog shit.
Yeah, that was one of those games where you go like, oh wow, what's going on?
Yeah, But we've been through that already.
Yeah.
Now, it's been a good chat so far. Heard any emails?
I think we got one from PK.
Nice.
Load it up. Because remember he did a long email. Again, it was a couple of episodes ago. Let me try and find it.
And we keep saying we're going to do an episode where we answer them, and we never do.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. It says, it's about Cronulla relocation. He says... Am
I getting bashed again?
Hopefully. Nah, I haven't read it. Because I don't read them until it's game time, right? Okay. So, hey guys, on the Cronulla relocation to Perth discussion, League Freak is right. It's about growth potential, and ultimately the growth potential in Perth for the Sharks clearly outweighs their Cronulla location. And then he gives a...
I'm going to put this to you, okay?
Okay.
Do you think a Perth team that is entirely Perth, not a relocated team, just a brand new team from Perth, do you think that would get more or less local support than a relocated team from Sydney?
My honest answer is I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that is the reason why I can't say that relocation is a good idea.
Okay.
If it was obvious, blatantly obvious, that by moving a Sydney team to another part of the country would lead to more fans following the game, fine, let's do it. But I can't see how anyone can say with any certainty that that would actually help increase the number of fans watching the game, especially in that new market. And I just think a lot of states, especially when you go into an entirely new state, they're going to want a team of their own. You know, there was talk back in the early 90s of having Balmain relocate to Melbourne. And Melbourne were initially kind of keen on it because they wanted to have a rugby league team, have done for a while. But I'm like, in the end, we kind of want someone who's Melbourne. And we can't have Balmain down here and we change them to the Melbourne Tigers. That name's already taken. So they just kind of went, thanks, but no thanks. We'd rather our own team. And it took them probably nearly a decade before they got their own team, but I think that's probably been a wise decision on their behalf.
See, I know that the Perth Rugby League have said they will take a relocated team, they'll take a new team, they'll just take a team. They don't care. Yeah. They just want footy there, or first grade football there. I think that if you took you're taking over a very a nice commercial, the Sharks in Perth. I think that really works. So that would be a plus. And my feeling on it is that if you say that Cronulla averages 10,000 a game at Cronulla, if Perth can give me 7,500 a game for the Perth Sharks, I'm happy with that, because then I'm looking at, you've got that base there already. Then I'm looking beyond for the next 20 odd years or whatever, because that for me is what you're aiming for. And I feel as though every year we delay that, we're just pushing that date back for where's it going to be in 20 years' time. The Storm have shown us you can start off very, very, very small, and you can end up with the Storm have a league average that a lot of Sydney clubs would really, really love.
Especially memberships-wise.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I feel as though that would happen in Perth, but maybe even quicker, because they do have a natural rugby league competition there. And that's my feeling on it. And I know it would upset a lot of Cronulla Sharks fans and that, but I really do. I think the growth potential for the club in Perth would be astronomically higher than it is and has been for the Sharks based in Cronulla since 1967.
Well, maybe we should start looking at another team to relocate. Let's be honest. Brisbane's struggling a bit at the moment.
Yeah.
How about the Perth Broncos?
Perth Broncos.
And then we can bring in a new Brisbane team that isn't coached by a moron and isn't playing like dog shit.
Why don't we move the Broncos to Perth, the Titans up to Brisbane, and then the Sharks to the Gold Coast? I hope Peter V'landys doesn't listen to this. Fuck. What have we done?
Oh, there you go. Relocation banana.
Yeah.
There we go. So what else has he got to say now that I've cut him off?
Okay, so the crowds, you know,
Okay.
he basically talks, he basically summarizes what I've said in a way, I guess. That the high end for what the crowd could be in Perth is much higher than what it could be in Cronulla. It says sponsorship and commercialisation, you know, Cronulla's always struggled in that area, whereas Perth is a big city. You know,
I suppose on another topic, do you think Cronulla may have damaged the brand?
Well, that's a really good question. I think that Cronulla has damaged their brand within rugby league.
Yeah,
for
well,
sure.
if they relocate to Perth, it's still rugby league.
But that's true.
I think you'd want to have a team going over there that's hasn't got any commercial sagas and off-field dramas besieging them in the last decade.
That's a really good point, and that would be a concern of mine.
So maybe the Broncos are a good option before the current dramas get too severe.
Well, didn't we work out the only scandal-free team that really has been is the Penrith Panthers?
Well, we had TikTok to ruin all that.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Maybe the Cowboys?
Yeah, the Cowboys. I can't think of anything that the Cowboys have done.
Do you count the Ben Barber stuff?
They got rid of him really quick.
They did. They really acted quickly on that one.
Yeah.
I find it hard.
They did bring Robert Louis out of reserve grade for women in league round. There was that.
That's a bad one.
Yeah.
They did also get rid of him.
Yeah, that's true.
Not straight away, though. And they do have Francis Molo there.
Oh, man.
That's tough.
That is. What about the Auckland Warriors?
I guess so. I mean, they're in everyone's good book at the moment because everyone's got sympathy for them.
I'm wondering if Phil Gould definitely wouldn't move to Perth.
He's not even going to move to New Zealand. He's still going to move to Perth.
Tell you what, he's going to be on Skype every day though, and that's just as good as being there. Just ask.
He's shown his commitment. He changed his profile image on Twitter to the Warriors logo.
Oh, nice. Well,
he's committed. He's committed to the cause.
Yeah. Well, considering he can't enter the country anytime soon, I just don't, and he's not going to live there. What the fuck did they get him for again?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
A very good question.
He's going to do the job Nathan Brown can't do.
Yeah. There was a story during the week that Nathan Brown said that Jack DeBellum would be a really good player at the Warriors. For those who don't know, Jack DeBellum's currently in the courts fighting a rape charge. And it's been going on for almost 2 years now, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Phil Gould came out with a tweet today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw this.
No, I don't follow him.
He said, "Rugby league is a funny game. High-profile player breaks rules, puts himself, his teammates, his club, and the whole game at tremendous risk. Reports soon follow that player may well be cut from his club for his indiscretion. Fans' response? Which club will he sign with next?" And I think the head coach of the club you're about to go to has just said he wants Jack DeBellum there. A little bit hypocritical.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, it's... if you and me, right, just say we found out Pangai Jr. signed with either of our clubs tomorrow, and that can't happen because the NRL's indefinitely suspended him. We'd be excited, right?
Well, I would be, yes.
Yeah, I would be too. Like, that's just natural. But, Pangai Jr. did go out for a haircut, and you can say that he wanted out of the Broncos. That's fine. Who doesn't?
But that's the thing. That's his worst crime. Is he wanted to leave, and he went and helped with the opening of a barbershop. He didn't even get a haircut.
No. Look, it's funny because there's been a little bit of talk in the media here in Sydney about what will Sonny Bill Williams do next year, and would he be open to playing for the Canterbury Bulldogs? And he said, and it was, oh man, it was so fucking beautiful. Sometimes he said that he's always had a place in his heart for the Bulldogs. Apparently, it wasn't at Sydney Airport as he was getting on a plane to fucking France in the middle of the night.
So was that place in France?
Yeah, it was in Toulon. That was his place in his heart. But then, and I've always said this about Sonny Bill Williams, as much as the Bulldogs have talked about it's unforgivable what he did and all that sort of stuff, if he goes to them and says, I would like to play for your club, they will drop to their knees for him. We need to send manscaped.com to Sonny Bill Williams, because hopefully he's in match ready, because the Bulldogs officials and all of them, they will fucking fillet Sonny Bill Williams if he's going to turn back up at that club. None of these clubs have a backbone. None of them have a spine.
I think it had been 4 years ago, definitely.
What do you mean?
I don't think many NRL clubs are going to look at Sonny Bill Williams as an option anymore. I think the hype is going to quickly pipe down when they see his performances. And look, he'll probably play fair enough here, but he's not going to be playing the same role he did the last time he was at the Roosters. Yeah. He's going to be a bit part player off the bench. He's going to be one of those impact players that does about half an hour and that's it. Mm-hmm. And no club's going to buy that. Not for the money that he's going to command either.
See, I didn't see him play, but from what you said, he's done.
I think he was, but maybe he's just phoned it in because of how much money he was getting. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I wonder if he's getting paid.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's got one of those sweet deals where he got paid up front. With that amount of money that's been thrown at him, doesn't matter who you are. If someone offers you that much more than has ever been put out before, you're going to say, yeah, you know what? I'm going to want this coin. And I'm going to want it now so that you keep your word.
Yeah. Look, even if he got 10% as a up front, that's $500,000.
Yeah.
It's
insane deal.
It's funny. Just on the Justin Holbrook thing we were talking about earlier, I had people saying to me, "Oh, Justin Holbrook, he was able to lure what's his name? The Broncos forward. What's his name again?
David Fifita.
Yeah, that's it. He's able to lure David Fifita. He can lure the big time players." And I'm thinking to myself, was it Justin Holbrook? Or was it the fact that they'll make David Fifita on a per-season basis the highest paid forward that's ever played in the NRL? It's probably the latter.
Money has a good way of convincing people to do things that most people would have thought they wouldn't do.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, it's crazy. I don't think he went because of Justin Holbrook. I reckon there's a part of David Fifita that went because he didn't want to be at Brisbane anymore.
Yeah, that's what worries me about him, because that core of good young players, that was the best young core it's still the dream job, I think, for a lot of coaches. It's breaking up.
Yeah. If they're not careful, it'll be broken up before the end of the year.
Yeah, and Payne Haas who was always, I think, the star. David Fifita was right behind him, but then the likes of a Pangai Jr., he was like the added bonuses that made them so good and so young. And, oh, my God, in 5 years' time, what are these dudes going to be doing? Now it's like, Payne Haas has got to be looking around saying, do I want this? Do I want to be carrying this team? I don't know. I just think that eventually all of them ask the question. Like even the greats, they all look and they see, the grass, is it greener on the other side? They ask that question of themselves. And you don't want it to be happening when they're 20 years old.
No, that's right. I'm just disappointed, actually, by the media for not calling them the big three.
Yeah. You'd think they would have, hey?
Yeah, they called a small three the big three.
What's small three?
Well, actually, it was a big four, wasn't it? It's a big four, but it was only one really big one out of the four.
Yeah.
The West Tigers.
Oh, yeah.
The big four.
The big four, and the biggest one is just a cuddly, like...
Cheesemaker.
Yeah. Where's the cheese?
Have you seen that video of Peter Russell Clark just swearing his nut off in all the outtakes?
I have. It's fantastic.
It's one of the greatest pieces of cinematography you'll ever see.
You know, there's some people in Australian TV who hope never age. Peter Russell Clark's one of them. Agro is another one of them. And that's it, really.
Showing our age a bit there.
Yeah, probably. Late 20s.
Early 20s. Fans of kitsch TV.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Well, on that fantastic note, this has been a very laid-back, very easygoing episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to get in touch with us, you can contact us on Twitter and on Instagram at FergoFreakPod. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Please subscribe to us over there and like all the videos. That would be brilliant. And don't forget our good friends at Manscaped.
Yes, go to manscaped.com. Put in the promo code NRL. That's for us. Like, that's exclusive for our listeners.
Our gift to you.
Yeah, I know. This is the deal we worked out for you lot. 20% off of everything on the website, free shipping, and yeah, you let them know that we sent you there, and that helps us with our relationship with Manscaped going forward. So, yeah, get onto it. Get some Father's Day gifts there. There's a lot of good stuff there. Check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Or Mother's Day's gifts. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? Know what I mean?
Yes, you could do that. Yeah. Why not?
And on that fantastic note, actually, I'll add in two more things.
Okay.
Support this bloke at patreon.com/leaguefreak. You should always look after independent creators. This bloke's doing a lot of stuff, not just on his website for himself, but for a lot of other people as well. Other writers, other podcasts. Help the bloke out.
That would be nice. And you know what I would love to see people do is help this bloke out. Go to patreon.com/RL Project and help support the digitisation of rugby league history. We all love Rugby League Project. We all use it, and get behind it. Like, the more money you put into it, the more work Andrew can do on it, and the more work he does on it, the more of the stats we all get.
Everyone wins.
It's fantastic. It's like a vicious cycle, but a good one.
Maybe it's a viscous cycle.
Possibly. I don't know what that word means, but I'm willing to run with it.
Yeah. I'll let you Google that one.
Okay.
And on that fantastic note, thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll catch you next time.